there's a moment you don't talk about. The moment you realize the people you want the most are always just out of reach. Not cruel, not obvious, just distant. They don't fully open up. They don't fully leave either. They exist in that quiet space where hope survives just enough to keep you attached. And somehow, without choosing it consciously, you're drawn to them. You notice it late at night when your phone stays silent, when you replay conversations, searching for meaning in pauses, when you make excuses for someone who never really shows up. You tell yourself it's coincidence, bad luck, timing. But deep down, there's a heavier question pressing against your chest. Why does this keep happening to me? Why do you feel most alive around people who can't fully love you? Why does closeness feel boring, while distance feels intoxicating? Why does emotional absence feel strangely familiar? The answer isn't about them. It never was. You didn't wake up one day and decide to chase emotionally unavailable people. This pattern formed quietly, gradually, almost invisibly. It began long before attraction had a name. As a child, love may not have been unsafe, but it may have been inconsistent. Present one moment, distant the next. Warmth that arrived unpredictably, so you learn something subtle and powerful. Connection is something you earn. Attention is something you wait for. Love is something that comes and goes. Your nervous system adapted, not to what was healthy, but to what was familiar. Psychologically, we don't seek what feels good. We seek what feels known. So when someone is emotionally distant, your body doesn't panic. It recognizes the rhythm, the silence, the longing, the hope. It feels like home, even when it hurts. When someone is emotionally present, something strange happens inside you. You feel exposed, seen, expected. Their consistency feels heavy. Their interest feels invasive. Not because it's wrong, but because it removes the chase. And without the chase, there's nowhere to hide. Emotionally available people don't trigger your old survival instincts. They don't activate your hypervigilance. They don't recreate the emotional puzzle you learned to solve early in life, so your mind labels them as boring. But what it really means is, this doesn't feel like love the way I learned it. Unavailable people give you something else instead. They give you mystery, uncertainty, emotional tension. And tension feels like connection when your system is used to instability. There's an old story about Cleopatra that history often romanticizes. She didn't fall for men who were fully present. She was drawn to powerful, emotionally complex figures. Men consumed by ambition, war, and inner conflict. Part of what fascinated her wasn't just power, it was distance. People often describe these relationships as passionate, but passion is not intimacy. It's intensity. And intensity often disguises emotional unavailability as depth. Cleopatra, like many before and after her, wasn't drawn to absence because she was weak. She was drawn to it because absence mirrors something unresolved inside us. You see this pattern repeat across history, across art, across modern love stories. We romanticize longing. We glorify distance. We call suffering devotion. And quietly, we internalize the belief that love must hurt to be real. In modern life, emotional unavailability wears new masks. The person who's not ready for a relationship, the one who texts deeply but disappears emotionally, the one who shares their trauma but avoids commitment. They offer vulnerability without responsibility, and that feels intoxicating. You feel chosen but never secured, connected but never held. So you stay alert, you overthink, you try harder, because part of you believes that if you can just be good enough, patient enough, understanding enough, they'll finally choose you. This isn't love, it's reenactment. At the core of this pattern is a belief you rarely admit to yourself. I must earn love. Emotionally unavailable people reinforce this belief perfectly. Their distance creates a challenge. Their inconsistency creates hope. Their restraint makes their affection feel valuable. And when they pull away, it doesn't feel like rejection. It feels like motivation. Your worth becomes something to prove instead of something to assume. And unconsciously, you avoid people who offer love freely, because free love contradicts the story you learned about yourself. That story says, love is conditional, temporary, fragile, so you chase the version that matches the script. Think of a locked door. If a door is wide open, you walk through without thinking. But if it's locked, your attention sharpens. Your curiosity intensifies. Your desire grows. Emotionally unavailable people are locked doors. They don't give you access, but they give you purpose. And slowly, your identity becomes tied to trying to be enough, trying to be chosen, trying to be seen. You mistake effort for connection. But real intimacy doesn't require constant proving. If you're honest, emotionally available people scare you more. Not because they'll leave, but because they might stay. Staying means being seen, being known, being accountable. It means you can't hide behind longing anymore. It means you have to show up fully too. And if you've built your identity around chasing, being chosen feels unfamiliar, unsettling. Because what if, once someone truly sees you, they decide you're not enough? So instead, you choose people who never fully look. Their absence protects you from that final judgment. At some point, the pattern becomes undeniable. Different face, same dynamic, different story, same ending. And one quiet night, the question shifts. Not why don't they love me, but why do I keep choosing this? That's the beginning of awareness. Not self-blame, not shame, just recognition. You realize you've been loyal to a familiar pain because it felt safer than unfamiliar peace. Healing doesn't mean forcing yourself to like emotionally available people overnight. It starts smaller. It starts with noticing your discomfort when someone is consistent, your urge to pull away when there's no tension, your instinct to create distance when things feel calm. Instead of obeying those impulses, you observe them. You ask yourself, what am I afraid would happen if this was easy? Who would I be if I didn't have to chase? What part of me feels unnecessary when love is stable? These questions loosen the grip of old patterns. Slowly, your nervous system learns that safety doesn't equal boredom, that consistency isn't control, that presence isn't pressure. You begin practicing a new form of courage, not chasing clarity, not over-explaining yourself, not waiting for emotional breadcrumbs. You choose people who choose you. At first, it feels wrong, too quiet, too still, but over time, something inside you softens. Your body relaxes, your thoughts slow down, your sense of self becomes less reactive. You realize that love was never supposed to feel like anxiety. It was supposed to feel like rest. Here is the truth that lingers long after the pattern breaks. You weren't drawn to emotionally unavailable people because you were broken. You were drawn to them because you were loyal to your past, to your survival, to the version of love you learned early on. But survival is not destiny, and familiarity is not truth. One day, you will sit across from someone who doesn't disappear, who doesn't confuse you, who doesn't make you earn what they freely give. And in that quiet presence, you'll feel something unfamiliar. Not fireworks, not intensity, but peace. And you'll realize, almost painfully, that love was never about the chase. It was about finally feeling safe enough to stay. If this felt familiar, that's not an accident. Something in you recognized itself. Before you go, pause for a moment and ask yourself, what part of this stayed with you? You don't need to explain it. Even a few words is enough. Write it in the comments, not just for you, but because someone else scrolling might read your words at the exact moment they need them. And if you want more reflections like this, subscribe.